Let's take a look at time questions. So question number 1, we need to convert the following amounts of time. We can use a calculator, but to be honest, most of these are pretty easy. So 60 seconds in minutes, well, we know 60 seconds is 1 minute. And if we know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, well, how many 60s go into 180? 180 divided by 60, maybe you can do that in your head or use a calculator, that is 3 minutes. 60 minutes in hours, well, that is 1 hour. Since we know that 60 minutes is 1 hour, how many 60s go into 240? 240 divided by 60 is 4, either do that in your head or on a calculator. We know that there's 60 seconds in a minute, so 300 divided by 60 is 5, so that is 5 minutes. 3,600 seconds in minutes. Again, we know that 60 seconds equals 1 minute, so how many 60s go into 3,600? So our calculation is 3,600 divided by 60, and that is 60. 24 hours, we all know, is 1 day. So 72 hours, well, we need to be thinking how many 24s are there in 72. So our calculation is 72 divided by 24, so the answer is 3. 7,200 seconds in minutes, well, we know 60 seconds is 1 minute, so how many 60s are there in 7,200? So the calculation is 7,200 divided by 60, so the answer is 120 minutes. And 168 hours, what's that in days? Well, we know 24 hours is 1 day, so how many 24s go into 168? So the calculation is 168 divided by 24, and the answer is 7. So all of question 1 you could have used a calculator for, although a lot of them you probably could have done in your head. Question number 2, again, we can use a calculator here. So what is 7 days in weeks? Well, 7 days is 1 week. Since 7 days is 1 week, how many 7s go into 56 days? So our calculation is 56 divided by 7, which is 8, so that's 8 weeks. 12 months is 1 year. 2 weeks is how many days? Well, 1 week is 7 days, so 2 weeks is going to be twice as much, so that's 14 days. We know that 12 months is 1 year, so 3 years is going to be 3 lots of 12, which is 36 months. 4 hours in minutes, well, we know that 1 hour is 60 minutes, so therefore 4 hours is going to be 4 times as many minutes, so that's going to be 4 multiplied by 60, and that is 240 minutes. 28 minutes in seconds, well, that's 28 lots of 60, and yes, I think it's more than acceptable to use a calculator here, so that's 1,680 seconds. 2h is a bit tricky. What I would do is I would turn the seconds into minutes first of all. So 3,600 divided by 60. 3,600 divided by 60 gives us a total of, I'm trying to do this in my head at the moment, but obviously you'd be using a calculator, is 60. And then we want to convert this number of minutes into hours, and we know that 60 minutes is 1 hour. 336 hours in weeks. Well, first of all, I would be converting it into days. So 336 divided by 24 is how many days? So 336 divided by 24 is 14 days, and we know that 14 days is 2 weeks. 3 weeks in hours, well, I would see that as 3 lots of 7 days, so that is 21 days, and we know that there's 24 hours in a day, so 21 multiplied by 24, that comes to 504 hours. Moving on to question 3, again we can use a calculator, but there's not much call for it here really, because it's either a question of just leaving the answer as it is or adding 12. Remember that any time in the morning just is left alone, but in the afternoon we would add 12 to the hours from 1 o'clock onwards. So 3:45 a.m, 24-hour clock, since that's an AM time, is just 03:45. For a PM 3:45, we're going to add 12 to the 3, so that's 15:45. This is an AM time, but as we've got 2 digits, we don't need to stick a 0 in front, so that's just 11:15. PM time, we're going to add 12, so that is 2020. Another PM time, so we're going to add 12 to the 4, so that's 1645. 5:25 AM, as it's AM and it's a single digit, we'll just stick a 0 in front of the 5, so 0525. 12:40 is a PM. We only add the 12 from 1 o'clock onwards, so 12:40 is simply 12:40. But for 12:10 in the morning, remember midnight is 00, so 10 past midnight is 00:10. Now G and H potentially a little bit confusing there. 2:30 PM, we're just going to add the 12 to the 2, so that's 14:30, and another PM for J, so we're going to add 12 to the 9, so that is 21:50. For question 4, we're doing the opposite, so if we've got 13 or more, we're going to be subtracting 12 from the number. So 15:25, take away 12 is 3:25, and that's 3:25 PM. 18:40, we're going to take away 12, that is 6:40 PM. 9:45, or that is simply 9:45 AM. Anything less than 13 will just leave as it is. So 08:20, that's less than 13, so that is 8:20 AM. This is a bit of a tricky one. It's 5 past 12, but is it midnight or is it midday? Well, remember midnight is 00:00, so this is 5 past midnight. Now this is now a morning time. Remember, midnight is when PM becomes AM. I know for a lot of us 12:05 seems like a late night, but it's actually a very early morning in terms of time. 23:55, we're going to take away 12 from the 23, so that's 11:55. 3:30 is, or 03:30, that's 3:30 in the morning, so 3:30 AM. 10:45, that's before midday, so that's 10:45 AM. 16 is greater than 13, so that means we're going to need to take off the 12. So 16 minus 12 is 4, so that's 4:10, and that's PM, of course. And subtracting 12 from 17 tells us that is 5:35, and because we've had to subtract 12, therefore it must have been an afternoon time. Question number 5. How long does it take Abraham to get from home to the train station? Well, he leaves home at 5, gets to the train station at 5:20, so that is simply 20 minutes. How long does Abraham spend in Barcelona airport? Well, he arrives at the airport at 11:25, and the bus to the resort leaves at 12:15. So what I'd probably do here is just think 11:25 to 12, and then 12 to 12:15, using the 12 o'clock, the nearest full hour, as a sort of stepping stone. 12:25 to 12 o'clock is 35 minutes, and 12 to 12:15 is 15 minutes. So overall, that is a distance of 35 plus 15, which is 50 minutes. How long after boarding the train does Abraham board a bus? Well, it doesn't actually say where he boards a train, but I think we can assume that he boards the train when it leaves, and he boards the bus as it leaves as well. So what is the difference between 5:30 and 12:15? Again, I'll use a similar technique to before, except this time I'll use 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock as my stepping stones. 5:30 to 6 o'clock, that's a gap of 30 minutes. 6 to 12 is 6 hours, and 12 to 12:15 is 15 minutes. So therefore, from 5:30 to 12:15 is going to be 30 minutes plus 15 minutes, which is 45 minutes, plus 6 hours, so 6 hours and 45 minutes. How long does Abraham's whole journey take? Well, 5 o'clock until 13:30. The difference between 13 and 5 is 8, so that's 8 hours, and then plus the extra half hour, so that's 8 hours and 30 minutes, or 8.5 hours. On to question 6, which is a relatively straightforward one. Eleanor's got a number of meetings starting at 9. The first one lasts for 1 hour and 15 minutes, so if it starts at 9, then it's going to finish an hour and 15 minutes later. So 9 plus 1 hour is 10. 10 plus 15 minutes is 10:15. Then she has a drink which takes 20 minutes, so we need to add 20 minutes onto 10:15. Well, 20 plus 15 is 35, so that will be 10:35. The next meeting is 2.5 hours long, or 2 hours 30 minutes. So if I add on the 2 hours first of all, that will take me up to 12:35, and now I need to add the 30 minutes. Now 12:35 is 25 minutes to 1, so what I'm going to do is break down the 30 into 25 and a 5. I mean, there are other ways of mentally doing this question, but so what I'm going to do is add the 25 minutes onto the 12:35, which takes me up to 1 o'clock, and then add on the 5, that takes me to 5 minutes past 1. So 1:05, or in 24-hour clock time, that'd be 13:05. Lunch takes 1 hour, so she'll finish lunch 1 hour after 1:05, so 2:05 or 14:05 on the 24-hour clock. And the final meeting is 2 hours long, and then a half-hour drive home. So let's add 2 hours to 2:05, that's 4:05. And then add on the 30 minutes, 30 plus 5 is 4:35. So she'll get home at 4:35 or 16:35 if we're doing 24-hour clock. Question number 7. Kristen is going on a coach trip from her home in Nottingham to London. She leaves her house at 5:30 a.m. and the coach leaves at 5:50. If she can walk 100 metres in a minute and her house is 1,600 metres from the coach stop, can she make it? Well, if she's doing 100 metres in 1 minute, then 1,600 metres is 16 times longer than 100 metres, so therefore it will take 16 minutes. 5:30 plus 16 is 5:46. So yeah, she'll make it with 4 minutes to spare. It takes 4 hours for a coach to get to London from Nottingham. The coach stops at a service station on the way. If Kristen gets to London at 10:20 a.m, how long does the stop at the service station? Well, we know that the coach leaves at 5:50. And if it takes 4 hours, then that would be, if we add 4 hours to 5:50, that takes us up to 9:50. So if the coach had driven non-stop, it would have got there at 9:50, but instead it gets there at 10:20. What's the difference between 9:50 and 10:20? Well, that is a gap of 30 minutes. Part C. So Kristen's got a list of things she wants to do, and she wants to allow 1 hour for every activity, including the travel time. So if the coach leaves London at 1800 hours, how many activities can she do in this time? Well, we know that she gets to London at 10:20, so 11:20, 12:20, 13:20, 14:20, 15:20, 16:20, 17:20, 18:20, but 18:20 is past the 1800 hours, so she's got time for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 activities. Kristen finds that she takes more time for some activities and less time for others. If a tour of Parliament starts at 11:50 and lasts until 1:10, was this longer or shorter than 1 hour? Well, all we need to do here is, let's just add on 1 hour to 11:50. 11:50 plus 1 hour is 12:50, but she's there until 1:10, which is longer, and the gap between 12:50 and 1:10 is 20 minutes. So the answer there is 20 minutes longer. Part E. Kristen's final activities in the British Museum. She arrives at 4:45 and the museum closes at 17:30. What's the maximum time she could spend in the museum? Well, 4:45 until, maybe it's slightly confusing because we've got 24-hour clock here and 12-hour clock here, but maybe 17:30, turn that into 5:30 if that confuses you. It's 15 minutes from 4:45 until 5, and then 30 minutes from 5 until 5:30, so 15 plus 30, that's 45 minutes. The journey back is expected to take 270 minutes, so what is this in hours? So we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour, so all we need to do is type into our calculator 270 divided by 60, and we get an answer of 4.5. So that's 4.5 hours or 4.5 hours. The journey takes 5 hours, So how long did the stop at the service station last? Well, that's quite easy. If it was 4.5 hours, then it took half an hour or 30 minutes. And what time does the coach return to Nottingham? Well, we need to work out what time the bus left, which we must have been told at some point in an earlier question. And I'm struggling to find it actually, so this one looks almost okay. If we go back to part C, we are told that the coach leaves at 1800 hours, so that sorts this one out. So 1800 hours plus 5, 18 plus 5 is 23, so 2300 hours, which is 11 p.m. And given that Kristen starts walking immediately when she gets off the coach, and using the figures for part A, find what time it is when she arrives home. So from part A, we remember, we didn't actually write it down, but it was 16 minutes. So all we need to do is add 16 minutes to 11 p.m, and that is 11:16 or 23:16 if you're giving a 24-hour clock time. Question number 8 is a mixture of some really easy questions in my opinion, and a few that are quite complicated and quite annoying. Part A is quite easy. So 25 minutes to prepare, 35 minutes to cook. So in total that is going to take 25 plus 35, which is 60 minutes, otherwise known as 1 hour. Each wedding invite takes Tony 10 minutes to make. How many will he have made by the time that Den has cooked dinner? Well, the dinner is going to take 60 minutes, so how many 10 minutes are there in 60? 6. Den's recipe calls for preheating the oven 20 minutes before cooking is to occur. How long after beginning preparation should he preheat the oven? Well, it's 25 minutes for the preparation, and we want the oven to be ready at this point here, so we need to go back 20 minutes. 25 minus 20, so 5 minutes. So he can do 5 minutes of prep, and then after 5 minutes of prep he turns the oven on, and 20 minutes later it's ready. There we go, that definitely works. So 20 minutes. Den forgets to preheat the oven until 15 minutes into the preparation time. So when preparation is done, he must wait for the oven to finish preheating. How long must he wait once preparation is done? I find this one surprisingly complicated for some reason. So we know that he should have turned the oven on after 5 minutes. Well, first of all, we know that the preparation is 25 minutes, and he should have turned the oven on at this point here after 5 minutes, so that 20 minutes later it's ready. But he didn't turn it on until 15 minutes, which is a delay of 10 minutes. So therefore, he's going to have to wait just 10 minutes once he's finished the preparation, which will be 35 minutes into his cooking. So 10 minute delay there. How long does dinner take to make now? Well, we've established there's a 10-minute delay. It was going to take 60 minutes originally, so now it is 70 minutes. How many invites will Tony have been able to make by the time dinner is ready? Well, he was working at a rate of 1 invite for every 10 minutes, so now he'll be able to do 7 invites. Tony and Den both work on invites after dinner. Den works at the same rate as Tony. If there were 25 to make altogether, and they both work from 8 until it's done, what time do they finish? Well, we need to remember that 7 have been made already. So 25, they're 25 to make altogether. This word altogether tells us that the 7 needs to be taken off this number. So that means they've got 18 to do each. And if they're working at not 18 to do each, 18 in total, which means that they've got 9 each to do. And if it takes them 10 minutes per invite, then that is going to take them 90 minutes, which is 1 hour and 30 minutes. And if we add that on to 8 o'clock, that is 9:30 when they finish.